All right, welcome. I am Greg. I teach at one Yoga Hatha classes. Hatha is an umbrella term for postural yoga, all varieties. It includes everything from yoga poses to breath work to energetic movement. And today, I'd like to focus on a common sequence of movements called Sun Salutations. Give a breakdown and a walkthrough of this really common practice. And my intention is to make you feel more functional in that process, more foldable in your body, grounded, and ultimately empowered to include this in your own daily rituals or to approach a guided class with a little more confidence. So we'll break down the postures once and then move through a sequence as we get a little more established in the basics. To begin, start in Tadasana. We're going to find a really functional stance here. Place your feet hips distance with all 10 toes pointing forward. Rest your hands at your side for now. We'll worry about lifting them later. Bend and straighten your knees. And just feel how this moves you across your footprint. You may even keep the knees bent, rock left and right, and get a sense of the shape of your footprint. In any yoga pose, the ground, the foundation, the footwork is really important. I hope you also feel that with a bent knee, there's a little more electrical currents between your hips, between your feet. And if the legs are locked, you might be a little more stuck in a joint. You might feel a little more like you're not moving anywhere, not budging. Since Sun Salutations is dynamic, let's keep a healthy knee bend. Place your hands on your hips and imagine your pelvis is a soup bowl. Tilt the soup bowl back, tuck your tailbone, and imagine pouring soup out the back of the pelvis. From the side, it might look like you're actively curling your hips under yourself. Take the other direction. Stick your butt out, drop the front of the hip bones, and spill the soup out the front of the body. Give it a few more goes, back and forth and back and forth. And through that process, find your bookends, two opposite sides of this tilt and tuck. Put yourself in the middle. If the hips are a soup bowl, no soup would spill out. That is the alignment we're looking for in the pelvis. Next up, place your left hand at your belly. And you might feel some tone, especially if you're accustomed to sticking your tailbone back, your butt back, and instead finding that neutral pelvis, feel the level hips, strong abdomen. Gather your front ribs towards your belly. Maybe you take your lobster claw hand and squeeze, knit those low ribs to the middle of the body. All this work can stay strong, just lift and widen your shoulders. Take a few loops of just your shoulders, and then rest your arms at your sides again. If this feels like an exaggeration of your belly, let the belly breathe. The core is strong. The core strength helps the pelvis stay neutral, your ribs stay in check as you lift and lower your arms. But the shoulders move back, your chest moves forward. And level your chin so it's parallel to the ground. You can tell already this is more than just the virtue of standing on your 2 feet. Hug your inner thighs, feel the stability in your legs. To make the movement even more functional, sweep your arms up. You might go out and wide, you might go out to the sides. For everybody, it could be different. And I encourage you, if you do just go forward and up and you find a little bit of a hitch in the giddy up, a spot where your shoulder doesn't quite move past your ears, go wide and see if that enables you to lift and widen your arms. Common in this variation of the movement is the arms move up, the ribs stick out, the butt moves back. Instead, Keep your pelvis level and gather those low ribs. Keep your shoulders broad. It may help to spin your pinkies in and tuck your elbows towards one another. Take a full breath in. And as you exhale, fold forward. In your fold, pause a moment. Take a look. Is your weight in your heels? Are your knees bent or straight? Bring your hands to your low back. Is your low back rounded, flat, or is it swayed? Grab your hips. Squeeze your elbows together towards the ceiling to take some of the heavy lifting off your head and neck, and come on up as you stand tall. So we established our functional stance. Now I want to talk about foldability. So often I hear from yoga students that flexibility is their limiting factor. I can't do yoga. I can't touch my toes. The truth is, foldability is incredibly more important than flexibility. No matter how flexible you are to move through the world, you need to be able to bend and flex your ankle, your knee, your hip joints to walk through the world, to drive your car, to sit in a chair. We need foldability in the joints, even the knees. And so when we move into a yoga practice, those concepts of folding at the joints can make the movement more universal and accessible, less about touching your toes with locked legs. I want to demonstrate what that misalignment looks like. For so many people, we'll start with relatively straight legs, arms overhead, and as you fold, the butt moves back, the weight goes into the heels, and about halfway down, the back begins to round, the low back flattens, arms and head become heavy weight, a burden on the low back. Instead, inviting the joints to bend, you'll find that every joint bends better. Knees bent, the weight is already moving forward, and now the belly finds contact with the thighs. Weight of the body is closer to your toes than your heels in your forward fold. And hopefully by bending your knees, you can touch the ground. You could find your foot, or even release some of that rounding in the back of the body and allow a little more length off the hips through the sides. Next is half lift. Place your hands on your thighs or your shins and lift just halfway. Again, the burden is on your low back. Putting some bend in your knees will help your hips move back as your head and heart move forward. A big help is hugging your shoulders. Squeeze your shoulders together on your back. Take a full breath here. And exhale, fold again. Generous bend in the joints. Inhale, Tadasana or Urdhva Hastasana, arms overhead as you lower your tailbone, reach up. And exhale, lower your hands to your heart. Let's move through that sequence once, connecting breath and movement, and I will cue some of the specifics that I demonstrated. Feel your feet underneath your hips, all 10 toes pointing in the same direction. A soft bend in your knees to feel the stability and the control of the hips and the pelvis. Inhale, sweep your arms up, keep your belly strong. And exhale, fold with a generous bend in your knees. Rock towards your toes. Drop your head. Inhale for half lift. Squeeze your shoulder blades together on your back. Slightly lift your chin. Exhale, fold your belly onto your legs, then your heart and head release. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, lower your tailbone as you reach your arms up. Urdhva, upward facing, Hastasana, upward facing hands pose. Then lower your hands to your heart. One more round. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, sweep your arms up. Exhale, forward fold, bend your knees, fold at your waist.
Hinge at your hips. Inhale, half lift. Slight tuck in your chin as you lift your heart, your head. Exhale, plant your palms, find a plank pose. Step back, lower to your knees. Before we move forward, let's explore the shape of your shoulder. See that your hands are right beneath your shoulder blades, and for a moment, press into the ground so much like the ground's coming at you. You could even create two fists and actively punch those fists into the floor. You'll feel that the shoulder takes shape with strength around the side ribs. A very different shape than lowering your chest. As you let the heart melt towards the mat, hug your shoulder blades together behind your heart. And continue making those changes. Press through the palms, feel the shoulders widen and lift towards the ceiling. Lower your chest, feel your shoulders hug behind your heart. Feel the heart melt to the mat. Continue exploring these bookends of the shape of your shoulder. Resisting the ground, melting your heart towards the ground, lifting your chest and lowering your chest. As you press the ground away and lift the shoulders away from the ground, this is the shape of your plank pose. Next time your chest is up and off the floor, your shoulders wide, that punching action through your palms, curl your toes under and lift your heels. You might explore here, coming down to the knees, shifting forward or back. Keep rooting through the hands to lift the space between your shoulder blades even higher off the mat. And then come on down as you lower all the way to your belly. For Cobra, zip your legs together and press down into the tops of your feet until your knees lift off the floor. Walk your hands wide to the edges of your mat, so a pinky finger, maybe a ring finger, rests on the ground just outside of your mat. Before you move up into Cobra, lift the front of your shoulders away from the ground. Feel your shoulders squeeze on your back. Taking some of that burden off of your low back. Inhale, lift your chin and chest. You might gaze forward. You might gaze slightly down if that helps lengthen your neck. Grab the ground with your fingertips, your hands. Not a lot of weight in your palms, but use this pressure on the floor to tuck your elbows closer to your sides. Take one more inhale. And exhale. Press up from tabletop to downward facing dog. Curl your toes under, press into your palms, and then come back down to hands and knees. Check in with your hands before we move back to downward dog. Some people will point all 10 fingers forward, and then for some others, pointing the thumbs slightly up and the 4 fingers slightly out allows them to have more space in their shoulders. In the same way that before in Urdhva Hastasana, if you lifted your arm by your ear, you might have got it caught along the way. If it was easier to make a wide shape with the arms than a narrow shape, turn your 4 fingers out, curl your toes under, and keep your knees bent as you lift your hips and fold your belly to your thighs. All the same principles stand. A lot of lift in the heel, a generous bend in your knee will help your belly fold to your legs and put a lot more weight into the back of the body, the lower body, than the shoulders, the hands and head. If your heels are driving to the ground, your low back flat, you'll look like that shape we explored in the forward fold. We want to be foldable, not flexible. And so bend your knees plenty, fold at your hips, and press through your hands. Find flexibility, length, and stretch through your sides. Take an inhale. Exhale, step forward, feet hips distance. Inhale to a half lift. Hug your shoulders together behind your heart. Exhale, fold. Drop your heart and head. Inhale, stand tall, sweep your arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, lower your hands to your heart. Take a full cycle of breath. And let's try that connecting breath and movement. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, fold with a lot of bend in your knees. Feel your pelvis tilting, your tailbone lifting. Inhale, half lift. Swing your head and heart forward. Squeeze your shoulders together on your back. Exhale, plant your palms, high plank. Lower all the way down to your belly. You might come down to your knees. Zip your legs together. Inhale, Cobra. Lift the front of your shoulders, your heart, your head. Exhale, through tabletop. Find downward facing dog. Take 2 breaths here. Put plenty of bend in your knees. Fold at your waist. And as you press down through your hands, spin your palms towards your pinky fingers. Turn your elbows towards the ground as much as you can without bending the elbows too much. Take a full breath and gaze up. Exhale, step forward. Inhale to a half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, lower your tailbone, reach your arms overhead. Exhale, lower your hands to the center of your chest. Take a full breath in. Full breath out. The eyes are closed, open, and feel free to take a few more on your own. I hope this instructional video gave you some ideas about how to be functional, foldable, and really grounded in your sun salutations. What's better, maybe you're more empowered to take this on your own, include this in a daily ritual, or participate in a guided class with more confidence, knowing that you're equipped with the ability to fold, even if flexibility is still a work in progress.